And there is something else the Stoics understood deeply. Your environment shapes your destiny. Many people want transformation while staying surrounded by negativity. They want peace while constantly feeding chaos. They want discipline while living inside distraction. But look carefully at your daily environment. What do you listen to every day? Who do you spend time with? What consumes your attention? What energy surrounds your life? Because eventually, your environment becomes your mindset. There's a story about two brothers raised in the same difficult neighborhood. Violence surrounded them. Fear surrounded them. Failure surrounded them. Years later, one brother became bitter and destructive. The other became disciplined and wise. When people asked how they became so different despite growing up in the same place, both gave the same answer: I became who I saw every day. One saw excuses. The other saw warnings. That is the power of perspective. You may not control where you started. But you can control what influences you now. Protect your mind like a king protects his kingdom. Be careful what enters your spirit daily. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. A Stoic learns to conserve energy for what truly matters. And one of the greatest wastes of energy is trying to control other people. This destroys peace more than most people realize. You cannot force loyalty. You cannot force respect. You cannot force understanding. You cannot force love. The more desperately you try to control others, the more exhausted you become. There's a story about a fisherman who spent hours trying to stop the ocean waves with his hands. An old man watched him and laughed gently. You will drown trying to control what was never yours to command. Many people live exactly like that fisherman. They try to control everything: people's opinions, people's behavior, unexpected events, the future itself. And because life refuses to obey them, they suffer constantly. Stoicism teaches surrender to reality. Not weakness. Not giving up. Acceptance. The understanding that some things are simply outside your control. And strangely enough, the moment you stop fighting reality, peace begins to return. You stop exhausting yourself over things you cannot change. You stop chasing impossible certainty. You stop panicking over every outcome. And that freedom changes everything. Now listen carefully to this next lesson. Your habits are building your future while you sleep. Most people think transformation happens through giant dramatic moments. But real transformation usually happens quietly. A man who reads 10 pages daily becomes wise over time. A person who trains daily becomes strong over time. A person who saves money consistently becomes stable over time. A person who chooses peace repeatedly becomes calm over time. Tiny choices create massive outcomes. There's a story about water dripping onto stone. One drop seems powerless. But over years, even stone changes shape. Your daily habits are doing the same thing to your life. Every action matters. Every morning matters. Every decision matters. The problem is that bad habits also grow quietly. 1 hour of laziness becomes years of regret. One excuse becomes a lifestyle. One unhealthy thought repeated daily becomes identity. That is why Stoicism emphasizes awareness. Pay attention to your patterns. Your patterns become your destiny. Another important truth: stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is dependable. There will be mornings you do not feel like improving yourself. There will be days your emotions feel heavy. There will be moments when quitting feels easier. Do it anyway. The Stoics admired consistency more than emotion. Because emotions change constantly. Purpose remains. Think about a man building a bridge across a river. If he only worked when he felt inspired, the bridge would never exist. But if he worked consistently, even slowly, eventually people would walk across what once seemed impossible. That is how rebuilding works. Consistency builds the bridge to your future. And here is something many people need to hear. You are not behind in life. Comparison is poisoning modern minds. People compare money, looks, relationships, success, achievements. And every comparison steals peace. A Stoic focuses inward. Because someone will always have more than you. And someone else will always have less. There's a story about a wealthy man who envied a king. The king envied a warrior. The warrior envied a peaceful farmer. And the farmer envied nobody because he appreciated his simple life. Peace does not come from having everything. Peace comes from appreciating what matters. Do not let social pressure rush your journey. A flower blooms in its own season. So do human beings. Another powerful Stoic lesson is this: adversity reveals character. Anybody can smile when life is easy. Anybody can appear calm when nothing is wrong. But difficulty exposes the truth. When pressure arrives, who are you? Do you collapse immediately? Do you become cruel? Do you panic? Do you betray your values? Or do you remain grounded? There's a story about a captain sailing through a violent storm. The passengers screamed in fear. Waves crashed everywhere. Chaos filled the ship. But the captain remained calm. One frightened passenger asked, "How are you so peaceful right now?" The captain answered, "Because panic cannot guide a ship through storms." Remember that. Your calmness becomes leadership during difficult seasons. Even for yourself. Especially for yourself. Now let us speak about courage. Not loud courage. Not dramatic courage. Quiet courage. The courage to begin again after failure. The courage to heal after heartbreak. The courage to trust yourself again. The courage to wake up and continue despite exhaustion. That kind of courage changes lives. Many people think courage means fear disappears. No. Courage means moving forward while fear exists. There's a story about a young woman terrified of public speaking. Every time she stood before people, her hands shook. One day her mentor told her, "Confidence is built after action, not before it." That changed her mindset. She stopped waiting to feel fearless. She acted despite fear. Years later she became known for her powerful voice. Your future may be hiding behind the fear you keep avoiding. Walk toward it. Another Stoic principle is simplicity. Modern life encourages endless consumption. More clothes. More attention. More status. More noise. But many people are drowning in excess while starving for peace. The Stoics valued simplicity because simplicity creates clarity. A man with endless desires is never free. There's a story about a king who owned everything yet slept anxiously every night. Meanwhile, a poor old man slept peacefully under the stars. When the king asked him the secret to his happiness, the old man answered, "I stopped needing the world to complete me." That wisdom disturbed the king deeply. Many people search outside themselves for what can only be built within. No amount of money can heal inner emptiness. No relationship can permanently fix self-hatred. No achievement can create lasting peace without inner stability. Rebuild yourself from within first. Then everything else becomes stronger too. And please remember this. Not everybody will understand your transformation. Some people only feel comfortable with the old version of you. The weak version. The insecure version. The distracted version. When you become disciplined, they may call you boring. When you become peaceful, they may call you distant. When you stop tolerating disrespect, they may call you arrogant. Let them misunderstand you. Growth often makes people uncomfortable. A caterpillar looks strange to those who fear change. You are not rebuilding your life to satisfy critics. You are rebuilding your life to save yourself. And sometimes saving yourself requires distance. Distance from toxic environments. Distance from destructive habits. Distance from people who constantly drain your spirit. Not every connection deserves permanent access to your energy. A Stoic learns boundaries. Without guilt. Without hatred. Just wisdom. Now here is another difficult truth: you must learn to face yourself honestly. Most people avoid self-reflection because truth can be uncomfortable. It is easier to blame the world. Easier to distract yourself. Easier to pretend everything is fine. But self-awareness is where transformation begins. Ask yourself, what habits are destroying me? What fears control me? Where am I lying to myself? What kind of person am I becoming daily? Those questions require courage. But honest reflection can save your future. Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself constantly because even emperors needed self-correction. No one outgrows the need for reflection. There's a story about a sculptor staring at a giant block of stone. Someone asked, "How do you create something beautiful from that?" The sculptor answered, "I remove everything that does not belong." That is your task now. Remove what weakens your spirit. Remove what destroys your peace. Remove what keeps you trapped. Your strongest self already exists within you. It is simply buried under fear, distraction, and pain. And rebuilding yourself requires patience with the process. Do not hate yourself for healing slowly. Even deep wounds need time. Imagine planting seeds in dry ground. You cannot scream at the soil for not blooming immediately. Growth takes nurturing. Consistency. Time. Treat yourself with disciplined compassion. Not laziness. Not excuses. But understanding. There will be setbacks. There will be difficult days. There will be moments you feel exhausted emotionally. That does not mean you failed. It means you are human. The Stoics never expected perfection from people. They expected effort. Awareness. Growth. And sometimes the greatest growth happens silently. One day you suddenly realize, you no longer react to things that once destroyed your peace. You no longer beg for validation. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer chase everything emotionally. That is real progress. Quiet progress. Powerful progress. Now let us talk about purpose. Without purpose, people drift through life endlessly distracted. Wake up. Work. Scroll. Sleep. Repeat. Years disappear like smoke. But purpose gives suffering meaning. A person with purpose can endure difficulty longer because they know why they are moving forward. There's a story about 3 men breaking stones under the hot sun. Someone asked the first man, "What are you doing?" He answered angrily, "I'm breaking stones." The second said, "I'm earning money." The third smiled and said, "I'm building a cathedral." Same work. Different mindset. Purpose changes experience. Your life becomes stronger when your actions connect to something meaningful. Maybe your purpose is becoming a better parent. Maybe it is mastering your craft. Maybe it is helping others heal. Maybe it is rebuilding your own life so your future changes completely. But find something worthy of your effort. Because empty living creates empty souls. And finally, understand this deeply. Rebuilding yourself is an act of rebellion in a distracted world. Choosing discipline when society promotes laziness is rebellion. Choosing peace when society profits from outrage is rebellion. Choosing wisdom when society worships noise is rebellion. Most people never truly meet their potential because they never commit fully to growth. But you still can. Starting now. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. One decision can change direction. One habit can change identity. One disciplined season can transform an entire future. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, calmer, stronger, healthier, more disciplined, more emotionally stable, more focused. That version of you is possible. But only if you begin. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, what kind of person am I becoming? And tomorrow morning, rise with intention. Train your mind. Strengthen your body. Protect your heart. Guard your peace. Control your reactions. Stay disciplined. Stay patient. Brick by brick, rebuild yourself.